Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again to our Sunday reading of Atles Shrugged. We're into part 3 now. From dot to dot we read. They're little dot. They're separated by these 3 dots. Okay, so there's the 3 dots. Okay, we got our drink right here. Reading glasses. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to, hey, check. Okay. Sound check. Okay. Check. Hey. Send level, broadcast level. There we go. That's better. Okay, now, so anyway, okay, see, I can yell and peg it. So we don't want to yell. But there it is. Okay, so my reading glasses are right here. Well, we didn't get time to prepare at all, so this one's going to be just a straight read right into the mic out of the book. And I'm going to try to do the voices as best as I can. If I need any new characters, I'll just I'll have to do them on the fly and create them as we go. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, so let me do one line adjustment. Camera. All right, there we go. Ready to begin. Ready to begin. Ready to begin. Hydrate my throat. Guitar. We got a sync guitar ready to play. Which we're gonna play before this broadcast is over. We're gonna play some electric git fiddle to close it out with, some just live music. Okay, and we'll pick something to jam to. Oh, we saw somebody at the door. I think Boo's here. Yes. Okay, well, we gotta get the door.
Yeah, peanut butter pie, scratch. Oh, goodness.
So you're beautiful too, Dean, yeah?
I've always done that. Oh, yeah, I got it. I got it.
Oh, my girl. She's my girl.
Yes. Two pianos.
Oh, you know what got me? Was the outfit and the legs wide open. It's like, she's my beauty.
Well, Lady Gaga got three awards. So.
Yeah.
Best pop.
we all get to sit on.
Yeah,
Sit in on it. The reading.
yeah, it's old. He's like an old small boy. Oh, Gene Autry. Gene Autry.
And I'm gonna start reading, and then because we're here, I guess we'll read and then take a break. Atles Shrugged. Yeah. Atles Shrugged. Broadcasting it. So there we go. And in this case, I have been pre-recording the different voices and sound effects and stuff, and background noises, and then just doing a live and turning the pages, and putting in a few live sound effects here or there. But what it would really be cool to do is, as I continue this, is to get into it with multiple people and do it like the radio play, like the old school, old time, like, yeah. How fun would that be? Maybe put up, everybody gets a microphone, see? Pan at different sides and put it different. Well, sure. If I get people to do this with me, I will. I'll script it, the whole book. Yeah, cool. Hey, you hear that? We got some new jazz. Yeah, okay, time to script the book. Make a script. Word for word script. Narrator too. Yeah, to do Ayn Rand justice. Yeah, it's gonna have to be word for word in her honor. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay. Unfortunately, you guys are coming in at part 3, because I already did part 1 and part 2, and part 2 I was kind of crunched for time. I didn't get my editing done, so it's got a few mistakes in it. So I'm going to have to edit it and replace it. But anyway, here. Starts with the narration. Okay. She sat at the window of the train, her head thrown back, one leg stretched across the empty seat before her. Kind of like this? Okay. The window frame trembled with the speed of the motion. The pane hung over empty darkness, and dots of light flashed across the glass as luminous streaks once in a while. Her leg, sculptured by the tight sheen of the stocking, its long line running straight over an arched instep to the tip of a foot in a high-heeled pump, had a feminine elegance that seemed out of place in the dusty train car, and oddly incongruous with the rest of her. She wrote about her slender, nervous body. Oh, no, she wore, I'm sorry. Okay. She wore a battered camel hair coat that had been expensive. This is going to be rough. Anyway, okay. Wrapped shapelessly about her slender, nervous body. No, it's the laughing is getting me. Because if I do make a mistake, then they laugh, or I'm kind of they're kind of laughing at the way I'm stretching the words out and stuff. Kind of. Anyway, so where was I? Okay. She wore a battered camel hair coat that had been expensive, wrapped shapelessly about her slender, nervous body. The coat collar was raised to the slanting brim of her hat. A sweep of brown hair fell back, almost touching the line of her shoulders. Her face was made of angular planes. The shape of her mouth was clear-cut, a sensual mouth held close with inflexible precision. Like this. Kind of. Yeah, anyway. She kept her hands in the coat pockets, her posture taut, as if she resented immobility, and unfeminine, as if she were unconscious of her own body, and that it was a woman's body. She sat listening to the music. It was a symphony of triumph. The notes flowed up. They spoke of rising, and they were the rising itself. They were the essence and the form of upward motion. They seemed to embody every human act and thought that had ascent as its motive. It was a sunburst of sound, breaking out of hiding and spreading open. It had the freedom of release and the tension of purpose. It swept space clean and left nothing but joy of an unobstructed effort. Only a faint echo within the sound spoke of that from which the music had escaped, but spoke in a laughing and astonishment at the discovery that there was no ugliness or pain. And there never had to be. It was the song of an immense deliverance. She thought for just a few moments, while this lasts, it is all right to surrender completely, to forget everything and just permit yourself to feel, she thought. Let go. Drop the controls. This is it. Somewhere on the edge of her mind, under the music, she heard the sound of the train wheels. They knocked in an even rhythm. Okay, so now, every fourth knock assented, as if stressing a conscious purpose. She could relax because she heard the wheels. She listened to the symphony, thinking, this is why the wheels have to be kept going, and this is where they're going. She had never heard that symphony before, but she knew that it was written by Richard Haley. She recognized the violence and the magnificent intensity. She recognized the style of the theme. It was clear, complex melody. At a time when no one wrote melody any longer, she sat looking up at the ceiling of the car, but she did not see it, and she had forgotten where she was. She did not know whether she was hearing a full symphony orchestra or only the theme. Perhaps she was hearing the orchestra of her own mind. She thought dimly that there had been premonitory echoes of this theme in all of Richard Haley's work, through all the years of this long struggle, to the day in his middle age when fame struck him suddenly and knocked him out. This, she thought, listening to the symphony, had been the goal of his struggle. She remembered half-hinted attempts in his music, phrases that promised it, broken bits of melody that started but never quite reached it. When Richard Haley wrote this, he sat up straight. When did Richard Haley write this? In that same instant, she realized where she was and wondered for the first time where that music came from. A few steps away, at the end of the car, a brakeman was adjusting the controls of the air conditioner. He was blond and young. He was whistling the theme of the symphony. She realized that he had been whistling it for some time, and this was all she had heard. She watched him incredulously for a while before she raised her voice to ask, please tell me what you're whistling. The boy turned to her. She met a direct glance and saw an open, eager smile, as if he were sharing a confidence with a friend. She liked his face. Its lines were tight and firm. It did not have that look of loose muscles evading the responsibility of a shape, which she had learned to expect in people's faces. It's the Haley Concerto. Oh, I need a boy's voice. Sorry. It's the Haley Concerto, he answered, smiling. Which one? The fifth. Um, yeah, it's supposed to be a child. It is a boy, a young boy. Okay. She let a moment pass before she said slowly and very carefully, Richard Haley wrote the four concertos. The boy's smile vanished. Oh, the boy's smile vanished, sorry. It was as if he were jolted back to reality, just as she had been a few moments ago. It was as if a shutter were slammed down, and what remained was a face without expression, impersonal, indifferent, and empty. Of course, he said. Oh, of course, he said. I'm wrong. I made a mistake. Then what was it? Something I heard somewhere? What? I don't know. Where did you hear it? I don't remember. She paused helplessly. He was turning away from her without further interest. It sounded like a Haley theme, she said. But I know every note he's written ever. I know every note he's ever written, and he never wrote that. There was still no expression, only a faint look of attentiveness on the boy's face. As he turned back to her and asked, do you like the music of Richard Haley? Yes, she said. I like it very much. He considered her for a moment, as if hesitating, then he turned away. She watched the expert efficiency of his movements as he went on working in silence. She had not slept for 2 nights, but she could not permit herself to sleep. She had too many problems to consider, and not much time. The train was due in New York early in the morning. She needed the time, yet wished the train would go faster. But it was the Taggart Comet, the fastest train in the country. She tried to think, but the music on the edge of her mind, and she kept hearing it in full chords, like the implacable steps of something that could not be stopped. She shook her head angrily, jerked her hat off, and lighted a cigarette. She would not sleep. She thought she could last until tomorrow. The train wheels clicked in accented rhythm, as she was so used to them that she did not hear them consciously, but the sound became a sense of peace within her. When she extinguished her cigarette, she knew that she needed another one, but thought that she would give herself a minute, but just a few minutes, before she would light it. She had fallen asleep, and she had awakened with a jolt, knowing that something was wrong. Before she knew what it was, the wheels had stopped. The car stood soundless in the dim glow of the night lamps. She glanced at her watch. There was no reason for stopping. She looked out the window. The train stood still in the middle of empty fields. She heard someone moving in a seat across the aisle and asked, How long have we been standing? A man's voice answered indifferently, Oh, about an hour. The man looked after her, sleepily astonished, because she leaped to her feet and rushed to the door. There was a cold wind outside, and an empty stretch of land under an empty sky. She heard wheels rustling in the darkness. Far ahead, she saw the figures of men standing by the engines, and above them, hanging detached in the sky, the red light of a signal. She walked rapidly towards them, past the motionless line of wheels. No one had paid attention. I added the word. No one paid attention to her when she approached. The train crew and a few passengers stood clustered under the red light. They had stopped talking. They seemed to be waiting in placid indifference. What's the matter? She asked. What's the matter? She asked. That's the right way to do it. The engineer turned, astonished. Her question had sounded like an order, not like an amateur curiosity of a passenger. She stood, hands in pockets, coat collar raised, the wind beating her hair in strands across her face. Red light, lady, he said, pointing up with his thumbs. How long has it been on? About an hour. We're off the main track. Oh, we're off the main track, aren't we? That's right. Why? I don't know. The conductor spoke up. I don't think we had any business being sent off on a siding. That switch wasn't working right, and this thing's not working at all. He jerked his head up at the red light. I don't think the signal's going to change. I think it's busted. Then what are you going to do? Then what are you doing? Waiting for it to change. In her pause of startled anger, the fireman chuckled. Last week, the crack special of the Atlantic Southern got left on the siding for 2 hours. Just somebody's mistake. This is a Taggart Comet, she said. The Comet has never been late. She's the only one in the country that hasn't. Oh, she's the only one in the country that hasn't, said the engineer. So that's why you got to script it, right? So you can easily get the wrong voice in the wrong line. Okay. Well, I didn't get a chance to prepare. See, I didn't, yeah. You've got to read ahead. Yeah, I didn't get a chance. I've been busy all week. We're almost down. To see these dots right here? We're almost done. Okay. So anyway. So far, episode 1 went well. Episode 2's been not very good. And this was kind of an abortion. Okay. So anyway, where'd we leave off? Okay. All right. There's always a first time. There's always a first time, said the fireman. You don't know about railroads, lady, said a you don't know about railroads, lady, said a passenger. There's not a signal system or dispatcher in the country that's worth a damn. She did not turn or notice him, but spoke to the engineer. If you know that the signal's broken, what do you intend to do? He did not like her tone of authority, and he could not understand why she assumed it so naturally. She looked like a young girl. Only her mouth and eyes showed. You know how hard it is to do your guys talking in the background? Distracting. All right. Okay, see, but that's all right. You're here when doing this, as it is. So this was part of live broadcasts. Yeah, I'm fine. Okay, so I gotta just find my place again. Where was I? Oh, here. Uh, okay. The dark gray eyes were direct and disturbing, as if they cut through things, throwing the inconsequential out of the way. The face seemed faintly familiar to him, but he could not recall where he'd seen it. Lady, I don't intend to stick my neck out, he said. He means, said the fireman, that our job is to wait for orders. Your job is to run this train. Not against a red light. If the light says stop, we stop. Red light means danger, lady. Oh, that's the passenger. A red light means danger, lady, said the passenger. We're not going to take any chances, said the engineer. Whoever's responsible for it, he'll switch the blame to us if we move. So we're not moving till somebody tells us to. And if somebody does? Somebody will turn up sooner or later. How long do you propose to wait? The engineer shrugged. Who is John Galt? He means, the fireman said. I don't ask questions. Nobody can answer. She looked at the red light and at the rail that went off into the black, untouched distance. She said, proceed with caution to the next signal. If it's in order, proceed to the main track. Then stop at the first open office. Yeah, who says so? I do. Who are you? It was only the briefest pause for a moment of astonishment at a question she had not expected, but the engineer looked more closely at her face, and in time, with her answer, he gasped, Good God! Oh, okay, see, that's her saying, Good God, she answered, not obviously, merely like a person who does not hear the question often. Dagny Taggart. Well, I'll be, said the fireman. And then they remained silent. She went on in the same tone of unstressed authority. Proceed to the main track and hold the train for me at the first open office. Yes, Miss Taggart. You'll have to make up time. You've got the rest of the night to do it. Get the comment on schedule. Yes, Miss Taggart. She was turning to go when the engineer asked, if there's any trouble, are you taking responsibility for it, Miss Taggart? I am. The conductor followed her as she walked back to the car. He was saying, bewildered, but just a seat a day ago, just a seat and day, Coach, Miss Taggart. But how come? But why didn't you let us know? She smiled easily, had no time to be formal. Had my own car attached to number 22 out of Chicago, but got off to Cleveland and number 22 was running late, so I let the car go. The Comet came next and I took it. There was no sleeping car space left. The conductor shook his head. Your brother, he wouldn't have taken a coach. She laughed. No, he wouldn't have. The men by the engine watched her walk away. The young brakeman was among them. He asked, pointing at her, who is that? That's who runs the Taggart Transcontinentals, said the engineer. The respect in his voice was genuine. That's the vice president in charge of operation. When the train jolted forward, the blast of its whistle dying over the fields, she sat by the window, lighting another cigarette. She thought, it's cracking to pieces. This is all over the country. You can expect it anywhere, at any moment. But she felt no anger or anxiety. She had no time to feel. This would be just one more issue to be settled along with the others. She knew that the superintendent of the Ohio division was no good and that he was a friend of James Taggart. She had not insisted on throwing him out long ago because she had no better man to put in his place. Good men were so strangely hard to find, but she would have to get rid of him, she thought, and she would have to give his post to Owen Kellogg, the young engineer who was doing a brilliant job as one of the assistants to the engineer of the Taggart Transcontinental in the New York. It was Owen Kellogg who ran the terminal. She had watched his work for some time. She had always looked for sparks of competence. Like a diamond prospector in an unpromising wasteland, Kellogg was still too young to be made superintendent of the division. She had wanted to give him another year, but there was no time to wait. She would have to speak to him as soon as she returned. The strip of earth faintly visible outside the window was running faster now, blending into a gray stream. Through the dry phrases of calculations in her mind, she noticed that she did not have time to feel something. It was the hard, exhilarating pleasure of action. That's it. That's the end of part 3 right there. We hit the 3 dots, and next time it'll be part 4. There it is, all done. Yes. All right. So now we would like, before we go from this live stream, we would like to remind everybody that we're doing a live stream Valentine's. We're going to start. We're going to about 3:30, 4. We'll be out barbecuing. I'll have some video of that, and then we're going to come in and we're going to start the thumping party, and we're going to thump all night. You know, thump, 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 thump. I started bringing my PA system in, getting it set up, and just giving the speakers a good rundown and stuff, making sure they're all tight and right, and then well, I got to give them at least enough information to say, well, you know where we're at. You can come and be here, or be stupid, or be here or be stupid. Stupid people get sent to the sun. That's where Boo sends stupid people, is right to the sun. That's right. So don't be stupid. So anyway, sub 3 intellect. Sub 3. Beans is right there. There's Sabrina right there. Okay. Well, so I'm Ronnie. What do you want the world to know you as now that you've been on? What's your name now? Your stage name? What's your avatar name? What's your user's name? P Diddy's taken. It can't be P Diddy. P Diddy's taken. Page is okay. Just Page. Okay, Page, everybody, Page, sitting right next to Beans. And then Jen and everybody knows Boo already. All right, cool. Well, let me see if I can get this mouse to work and get it over here on the in stream button. Come on. Where is it? There it is. Okay, there it is. In stream. Okay. We'll see everybody. Thanks for tuning in or not tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe and all that stuff. Hit the little bell button and bye. Don't forget, next week, by next week, I'll go ahead and start scripting. And I'll skip over scripting what we've already done. We'll start scripting part 4.
Let her have the paperback.
Yeah, you get the paperback.
Yeah,
and you guys can go through the
'cause I have a
paperback.
couple of paperbacks of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's around somewhere. I'll make sure I send that with you, the paperback, and then
And you can look at it.
yeah, and you can read forward, and I'll go ahead and split it up.
And this is a very, I mean, even if you disagree with the philosophy, the characterization is so amazing that you can't stop. You want to look at it.
Yeah, it's an excellent book.
The book, the better off you are, because there's mysteries and different things in the book that you don't want to really know about.
Anyway, the other part of this book is that it's a novel, but it's a philosophical, metaphorical candle, so to speak. It is,
Like one of the
you know what I mean?
brain trust type places, you know, that they would throw big ideas around. Think tanks
Yeah,
back in the 70s.
yeah.
Top, one of the top think tanks in America for economics. She came from Russia as a young girl. The Jewish girl that lived in a middle class family. So, didn't stop. She came to America and she goes, it was almost like Gone with the Wind, never before again. And so that's why she thought of capitalism, because America was the capitalist place to go. You know, you could make good. So she went to Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, I gotta tell you guys this before we end the stream. We gotta do that. That's good stuff.
Really interesting character. She started writing plays and short stories. But she always had a theme of didn't like the theme of the way she felt that America was going, especially during Roosevelt, that it had to be we and no I. There was no individual. All of us together. And she didn't like that idea. Well, that's socialism. Right, but, you know, and it's weird because I love all the socialist candidates that will be running for president this year. And I believe in socialism, but the book is the opposite of socialism.
Socialism done right would be great.
Right, but it's, but you can't give up the bank either.
Yeah. One of the big problems with socialism, socialism lends towards dictatorships. It's like fascism and all those other kinds
Now, how can socialism become dictatorship if it's social?
Well,
There's no dictator in socialism in the name social.
no, but see what happens is in the process of electing officials, well, that happens. All the other countries. Trump is trying to do it to us. Say by the same tactics, okay?
Trump
That's what I mean to say.
Trump just wants Putin to run around with his shirt off, running through the freaking, shirtless Putin running through the White House.
I like Trump's big baby.
And his base is, his base, they won't believe whatever they want.
Smallest dick. Or the biggest clit.
You can put your dick in an African trophy, you win the booby prize.
The smallest dick with the biggest clit.
But,
The size of the trophy is nice.
the trophy.
Alright, check this out. Came up with an idea to find that it could work if you did it right. The reverse economy is like this. Hang around for the 16, 20 product. She's got that ticket, she could get to do something else because that ticket was like, put somebody's floor or whatever. She would food, to go to get another. Like the verses, so the biggest thing that's the biggest.
I mean, yes, socialism, it's
The point is it doesn't matter. It's one. This is the one give the money to take the thing, and it works the same way no matter. It's like the opposite. There's no such thing as monopoles anywhere. This is the bipolar or the dipole of that. The dipole of it's like you give the ticket to give the thing, get rid of the thing, you know, and it still works. It still works.
Pure socialism, you know, is just, you know, in a pure socialist society, no one is poor.
Right. Well, now here's what I figured out. There's one difference. There's one difference between that kind of way of doing it versus the other kind. The other way of doing it is a lot like okay, well, I'm going to relate it scientifically. I'm going to relate this scientifically. The reverse economy one, because of the one difference between the two, because this one revolves the negative, the one that's, let's call the one plus and minus, okay? The minus one is the one that where you got to go try to get a job to earn the money to then go buy the thing with the money, okay? And the other kind is, well, you got to go get something to get the money to go give it to somebody to get to, you know what I mean? And it still does the same thing. It still functions the same exact way, except one difference is it would be a lot easier to go get a job, right? Because you could just decide to go, okay, well, what can I do to go get some, you know, what can I do to get rid of some of these tickets? You just, the one thing you do is make the ticket, to give the ticket, you're obligated to get rid of it. It's the opposite. Everybody tries to save money when they're in the taking version. Opposite. You don't need the savings account. No need to save money. The obvious option is get rid of it. Try to move it along as fast as possible. See? Well, it's simple. You got a 50 there, right? Okay. I got some. You know, you need to get rid of it, or else you get arrested. It's against the law to not hang on to it. I mean, to hang on to it, you can't give it. So no. Okay, so you got to try to, you know, see what I'm saying? That just works just like that. You got to send it down the road.
But society will not work that way. Human beings do not work.
That's the problem. They don't. If they could, it would work perfectly.
You just have to get rid of human beings.
All right. Anyway, here we're gonna go.
Socialism will work if everyone's on the same page.
Right. That's the whole deal about socialism.
And
They got to be right
like,
exactly in the same
20
path.
or 30 years, socialism has been a dirty word.
Yeah.
But what they shouldn't cash their Social Security check. No one should ever cash their Social Security check because that's socialism. Social Security was set up on a socialistical basis. You know, that's why it's called Social Security. It's a socialist idea. You know.
Yeah.
The government should work for us, not us work for the government.
That's right. Exactly.
If we pay X amount of taxes, we should get X amount of money in stuff for that tax. You know.
Yeah.
We should get that brand new light on the corner.
Yeah.
The
road patch.
Right.
The potholes in the road patch.
And what happens
The sewer
is
fix.
legislation distributes our money wrongly. No, we need to spend most of the money on that bomb over there, on that bullet, on that gun, on that, you know, thing to kill people.
Yeah, that's
we need
very
to
wrong.
spend all our money
Yes.
there, and what was left over, well, we'll give you the dribbles left.
Mm-hmm.
But we need that bomb. Even though we got 10 billion of them over in the other place over here.
But we need one more.
That
We need one
1
more.
million
Yeah.
and one.
Yeah, we need one more. Got to spend another $1
You
million
have
on
to,
one more.
right. And that's
Yeah.
where government's wrong.
That's right. Well, you know, I've seen.
And a socialist wouldn't happen.
If you track
It
history,
should be equal.
you'll see that governments are the mostly who are responsible for war. The general populace has never wanted war.
No.
There you go. General populace never wanted war. Never, ever. Get it through your heads, politicians. Correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Got your background.
good old politician.
No, don't say that.
Don't say that. Oh no, because I want to be a politician someday.
No, it's just you don't want to know. You don't want to go where they will put you for saying that.
Oh,
right.
I
Terrorist attack.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 9/11 was set upon us for a reason. It wasn't
I
like
think it was a wake up.
Well,
I really do.
beyond that, I mean, our government knew it was about to happen. They were doing tests that day, that morning. They were doing tests about planes hitting buildings. The government was the army or Air Force was doing
every food does that.
practices of how to handle that morning.
I kind of like having intestinal problems too. The yogurt helps so much. I had an appendectomy. Since I had the appendectomy, I've been on a yogurt diet. Well, not since, about a year afterwards, because after the appendectomy, I started eating again, and I gained more weight than I had before and almost died. That's when I went on the yogurt diet. Fasted, used tuna to whatever to start to shift my metabolism, my metabolism and stuff. And now it's like my digestive tract is like a top good vacuum. Basically, so I eat something right in the
If I ate the way you do, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
I would be dead. I would not live. I have to eat 3 meals a day. I have to, eat, and I like I said, any dietarian would tell you this. You have to eat, vegetables, all these different things in your diet.
To sustain the right nutrients.
Right, it's all nutrient stuff. You can't get every nutrient in yogurt. It's
and
impossible.
I didn't say that. That's not the only thing I eat.
I know.
I eat large quantities of it. I put it this way. I eat large quantities of yogurt in lieu of other foods. Okay? And it's protein. It's all pure protein. The nutritional information on the container, though, that's the nutritional information for milk, because they have no way of measuring nutritional information on yogurt, because everybody processes yogurt differently. And depending on how old, the age of the microbes, whatever, it's going to be an amount that gets digested different each time you eat. It's going to be different.
Yeah, but they
have no
that
way
information because they processed it.
Yeah,
they know exactly what's there.
The thing is, the nutrition information, all you can do is, the microbes, there's, so many different microbes in their family. They create, like Mountain High yogurt has 5. Nancy's yogurt has 6. The yogurt I make has 18. I would choose it better. It's like candy's got to be better than anything else, too.
Prove it.
Me too.
Just like I always say, I'm the smartest man
And you know what? I'm the smartest girl man.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. No one knows what it's like to be a sheep man.
Please keep the applause down, please. Someone over there is trying to sleep.
Sabrina, trying to sleep. So, here, I need to hit a marijuana.
Yeah,
I
ran
think
out.
so.
Ran out.
No,
The jar into it?
No,
The jar's not in.
oh, check that out.
Oh, yeah. No, we got to end screen still before we can start this. There was such a good dialogue that was going on there. I couldn't end it. I had to just, people got to hear that. They really do. So, okay, so we're going to end stream now. See you guys later. Bye. To the next Sunday, okay? We're going to do it, we're going to script it, and we're going to kind of start doing it more like a radio play. Okay? Bye.
Bye.
Oh, nobody, I was ended too soon. Nobody said bye yet. Okay, there you go. All right. Bye.
Bye.